So just as a review, we have 2 yoga blocks. You can use books or anything else that's stable in place of blocks if you don't have yoga blocks. We have a yoga strap. You can use a tie or 2 ties tied together or any kind of long rope type material to replace a strap. We have a blanket, any size, as long as you can fold it up for support whenever we need it. And we're going to have a chair available today for those of you who might want the extra support. I love to use a chair because it helps me get into yoga poses more mindfully sometimes and really address areas that are extra tight. So there we have it. We've got our props. Let's find a seat. You can sit in a chair for right now, or you can sit on the edge of a block, which is what I like to do. But make sure that you're comfortable. We're going to start with a rather vigorous breathing technique. So if you have uncontrolled blood pressure issues, then you would probably want to go a lot slower than I'm going to model. Or you can opt out completely if you're new to breathing techniques in yoga, and just close your eyes and take some nice slow deep breaths. So whatever you want to do to get yourself centered is great. But today, just for the nature of our class, the energizing nature of the class, I'm going to introduce and teach skull shining breath. Skull shining, or Kapalabhati. To do this breath, we make sure that your nose is clear. So if you need tissue or anything, we're going to be breathing in and out of the nose. So we'll take a breath through the nose, let it out. Just start to settle. So I'll walk you through the first round. So take about 3/4 of a full breath in through your nose. And then you're going to exhale through your nose vigorously over and over again. And your belly is going to move in and out. So every time you exhale through your nose, a little air is going to come in too, right? As a little inhale. So it's like a massage for the internal organs. So we do that maybe 10 to 20 times. And then we inhale a nice big breath in through the nose, as much air as you can take, and then we retain the inhale for a few seconds. And then exhale, let it out. So it's not uncommon to feel a little over-oxygenated, a little lightheaded. So take it easy if this is the first time you've ever experienced this breath. I'm going to start to do it again in real time, and you can just follow along and do the best you can. Take a breath in. Start to exhale through the nose. Breathe in. Hold. And breathe out. Again, breathe in about 3/4 of breath. And then start exhaling through the nose. Pause, breathe in. Hold the breath. And exhale. Let's do one more round. Breathing in. Begin to exhale. Pause, take a big breath in. Hold the breath. And relax, let it all out. And just start to return to a natural rhythm of breath for you. Noticing any changes in your physiology, and how you're feeling. Relax your shoulders down away from your ears. Relax your jaw. In honor of Tu B'Shvat, which is coming soon. Tomorrow night is the eve of Tu B'Shvat, which is the celebration of trees, the birthday of trees, way for us to honor the land of Israel. I'm going to do a reading that I've done every year for the last several years. And it comes from the book called Trees, Earth, and Torah. It's a Tu B'Shvat anthology, lots of writings in this book. And there's one that I return to over and over again. Just like the Torah, we turn it and turn it, for everything is in it. And we dive into our own inner wisdom and see what's changed since last year when we read this, or what's changed since last time we studied something. So in the middle of this book here, I had learned that where the redwoods are concerned, an occasional fire was an important way to stimulate new growth. The vital membrane of the meeting of the environment and the tree was in the growing edge. What is most alive in the tree is not its center. In some way, the tree could not accommodate new growth like an onion. The center of the tree is the hardest, least flexible, the driest, the least juicy part. It could not allow each year for the inner core to issue new life. The inner core of the tree was too set, too static. Yet this very quality is also the strength of the tree. The growing edge alone could not hold it up to stand rooted, enduring storms and weather, but the growing edge carries the life from the roots to the leaves and back. I thought of how we as persons grow. Here too, our encounters with the outer world stimulate the new ring of experience on the tree of our lives. What tells me most about myself and the way in which I grow in the world is neither my past nor my present outer possessions. It is the vital growing edge, the place where I am vulnerable and alive, where what happens on the outside impinges on me, and where I digest and assimilate what happens on the outside. I suppose that we have a greater choice than trees in the way in which we handle the toxic and the nourishing influences in our lives. So the present consciousness and attitude is the current growing edge of the psyche, and the memories and impressions are the rings. Blessed are those who manage to keep the growing edge healthy. So taking a moment, I'd like to invite you to just contemplate the places where you have experienced your own growing edge in this last year or so. What qualities have you had to develop to adequately meet the challenges that life has presented? Where have you changed? Where have you adapted? And how has this strengthened your core? The core of who you are. And maybe if this is the first time you've thought of this, maybe you won't have the answers at hand right now. Maybe it will be an inquiry that you can take into your life to start looking for the growing edge, the places where you're right up against something challenging, right up against something that feels uncomfortable, but maybe for your growth. maybe in a way to strengthen you, to help you find deeper roots, deeper grounding in who you are and what supports you. So if you're seated, you can stay seated. We're going to move through a little bit of mobility for the spine. And we're going to work on supporting and stretching and loosening all the muscles to help us work toward, obviously, tree pose, one of my favorite poses. But we'll kind of really address a couple of specific muscles and learn a little bit more about them along the way. So if you're sitting, you can have one shin in front of you. If you're on a chair, that's fine. Let's start to inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, hands to your heart. Just a few times. Inhale, reach, and exhale, let it all out. One more. And exhale. Keep your belly pulled in as you walk your hands forward and hinge at your hip crease so that you're not rounding in the back and you're just hinging forward, getting into the outer hip of whatever leg is forward. Breathe here. And come on up. And then bring your right hand to the floor. Lift your left arm up. Breathe in. Exhale, lean over without collapsing into this. I want you to reach out and diagonally up toward the sky or up toward the place where the ceiling and the wall meet in your room. Good. Change sides. Inhale, breathe, bring it up and over. And release. Go ahead and switch the leg set up so the other shin is forward. Again, walking your hands forward, keeping the navel pulled in toward the spine. Breathe. Start to notice how the hips are feeling this morning. And then come back up. And again, we're going to inhale, reach one arm up and over to the side. Really root down into those sits bones, into your hip as you reach up. So you feel a real connection from the hip all the way to the fingers. And change sides, keep breathing, reach up and over, pull the belly in. Roll your chest open just a little bit more toward the sky or toward the ceiling. And back down, good. Hands on the knees, just do a little bit of rounding of the spine, tucking the tailbone, gazing toward the belly. And then inhale, chest opens, those elbows come back, and then scapula or shoulder blades come toward each other. And exhale, round on your own a few times. So taking this time to really connect the breath to the movement. That's the most important thing right now. It's just connecting the inhales and the exhales to what you're doing. Good. Sit up nice and tall. Bring your chin to your chest. And imagine you have a ball between your chin and your chest. And you're going to try to keep the ball from falling. And you're going to roll the ball from one side of the chest to the other. So you have a little bit of activation of the neck muscles here as you imagine you're just keeping that ball in alignment as it rolls from one side of the clavicle to the other. Start to keep rolling that ball till you get all the way to the very edge of the left side of your clavicle, and then just tilt your head so that your left ear is over your left shoulder, and just pause there. No force, just breathing. As you have your ear resting toward your left shoulder, press down with your right shoulder, like your right shoulder could reach toward your leg, your right leg. So you create a little more stretch there. And then tilt the chin up just a little bit. Good, and then start to come back to that invisible ball and roll it all the way over to the right until you can't go anymore, and then turn your head so that your right ear is poised right over your right shoulder. Breathe. And as the head is here, think of pressing your left shoulder down, like you're reaching down with the left shoulder. You'll get right into that left neck. And then tilt the chin up slightly. We're just opening up those muscles that get really contracted when we're on screens and on phones. Good, and then start to release, roll your chin back down towards your chest. And then look straight ahead. And then just a little owl turn. So just keeping your shoulders where they are, just turn your head to one side. See how far you can look over your shoulder. And breathe in. And then exhale, bring your head through center. And then inhale, do your little owl turn over to the other side. Exhale to center, do one more set on your own. Nice and slow. Good, when you're done, do some shoulder rolls. So for part of this class, we are going to be using the massage ball. If you have anything like a tennis ball, a racket ball, anything like that, you can use any of those things. Okay, but first, let's come onto our hands and our knees. You can do a couple of cat-cows, making sure the wrists are right under the shoulders and the knees are under the hips, just rounding the spine on your own, and then arching the back. Just move through a couple of these. Let them be really playful and free. So if you want to take this into a side bend or a tail wag, go for it. If your wrists get tired for any of this, you can come onto your knuckles or fingertips. We're going to warm up the hips now for our poses today. So I would like you to bring your right leg out behind you. Those toes are pointing straight down. Your belly is engaged, so avoid sagging through the lower back here. I want you to imagine that you have like helium in your kidneys that's helping the kidneys and lower back just elevate a little bit toward the sky. Your right leg is really firm. And then your frontal hip bones are shining straight down to your mat. So you want to keep the hips square here. Now bend the right knee and then try to put a little stamp of your footprint up on the ceiling. It won't be much. You're not going to go way up. If you do, then you're going to lose the stability of the lower back. It's a little tiny stamp on the ceiling. And then extend the leg. And then bend it. So you're in a right angle as best as you can tell, because I know you can't see yourself. And then stamp your foot on the ceiling. You feel your butt muscles turn on here. Straighten the leg, bend it, and stamp. Good. Now we're going to take the leg out to the side like that fire hydrant that we love. So you've got your fire hydrant pose, and just do some circles here. And we won't be here forever. So you don't tune out on me. I promise things are going to get better. And then start to do some circles the other direction. Good. And then pause, extend the leg, and now round your back and bring your knee toward your nose, bring your nose toward your knee. Pause and take a breath. And then exhale, extend. And one more. Bring the knee in. Take a breath in this nice rounded shape, and then extend. Good. Go ahead and sit back. Maybe tuck your toes underneath you if that works for you, just to stretch up the toes, shake out your wrists. And we'll take the second side. So extending the left leg nice and long, really flexing the left foot. So you're reaching with your heel for whatever is behind you. Bend the knee and stamp the ceiling with your foot. and then straighten the leg, bend, and stamp. Do that a few more times. I want you to feel your hamstrings, the back of your legs, and your butt, your glutes turn on as you stamp. So we're waking up the muscles for stability in our tree pose and in our other standing poses. Stamp. Good. Extend. Bring the knee in, and then keep it bent and bring it out to the side and do some circles. Little circular fire hydrants. Now, have you lost your belly connection? If you have, bring that belly button in toward your spine. Good. And then extend the leg one last time. And then round the spine, bring the knee to the nose to the knee. Inhale, extend. Exhale, rounding. Release. Sit back onto your heels. Shake out your hands. Bring the tops of your hands to your thighs and just press gently to release the forearms. So for this next move, you might want to modify, you might find that you need to modify. Have your blocks nearby. I'm going to go sideways for this. So staying on the left knee, extend your right leg out to the side with your toes pointed forward. So we're going to, and then tuck your toes underneath on the left foot for stability. So with the belly engaged, we're just going to start to sit back a little bit. It's like there's a bench here and you just want to tap it and then come back up. So we're waking up the quads on that stabilizing leg and we're opening up the adductors. Just a little tap and come on up. Some of you might flatten your foot and come all the way down and back up. Keep your belly engaged. Keep your left or right toes pointed forward. Just a few times. Keep breathing. So we're actively warming up the inner thighs and the standing muscles. Good. We're going to change sides. Left toes point forward. Either tucking your toes on that right side or keeping them flat, whatever works for you. And keep the belly pulled in and just a little tiny sit back and tap that invisible bench. Just tap it with your tush. Good. We're looking for some kind of sensation here in the inner thigh. You might feel it all sorts of places though. This is a little bit of a challenging warm up. Couple more. Last one. Good, and release. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is use our ball. And this is a side lying exercise. So what we want to do is work on the inner thighs, these adductors. They're kind of thin set of muscles that help to bring the leg in toward the body and help stabilize standing, help stabilize your body. They're in between those quads and the hamstrings. They're right in between, and they can be kind of sensitive. So I'm going to lay on my side, and you can use a blanket under your neck, or you can use a block or pillow, whatever works for you, at whatever height works for you. Your other block, or if you don't have a block, you can use something else that has some height. The other block's going to come close to your bent knees. The ball is going to come onto that block, and you're going to lift. I'm on my, I don't know what side you're on. So just to keep it simple, lay on your left side to start. And then your right inner thigh is going to just come on top of the ball. And you're just going to start to roll your hips forward and back with that ball just on the inside of the thigh. Yowzers. Don't worry too much about getting it just right. If it's sore, then the tissue needs it and you can stay there. So I'm starting with rolling forward and back. The muscles actually run that direction. But I'm also going to lift and lower my knee, bring my knee toward my chest and then toward the bottom of my mat. So then I'm going across the fibers of the inner thigh muscles. And you can just shift around, do whatever you need to do to get up higher. You can kind of start to roll forward. Keep breathing. So the pinky balls that many of you have, these are pretty intense for this area of the body. A tennis ball is a little softer. So when we have the muscles of the legs stretched out properly, then it helps take pressure off our knees. So if you have any knee issues, this is a good one. The other thing, if you're a glutton for punishment, is you can just keep your ball under your inner thigh and just lift and lower the lower leg and just move the ball a little bit at a time and lift and lower. I don't feel like torturing myself that much today. So here you've got this inner thigh, right? Go ahead and come onto the other side. Actually, you know what? Before you come on the other side, just come into a butterfly pose and just notice the difference between the left inner thigh and the right inner thigh. Maybe there's a change, maybe it doesn't feel like there's a change, just notice. And then come over to the other side. Bring your head support with you. Okay, so block or something is under that left knee, and then bring the ball to the top of the block and just wiggle your way around and just explore. I find if I stack my hips, it's a little easier if they're right stacked on top of each other to start, because then I can roll forward and back. And you might notice that with the support I have under my neck and head, my spine is aligned. So I'm not propped way up on something. That's not great for your neck. And I'm also not just hanging like down on the floor. That's also not good. So make sure, it's really important to have the proper neck and head support. So exploring this side of the adductors, what do you notice? Keep breathing. I don't know about you, but this is very uncomfortable for me. So I'm with you if you're uncomfortable. But this is the growing edge, right? This is where we find growth and healing, is when we face those things that are a little uncomfortable, or maybe a lot uncomfortable. So in theory here, like if you had a lot of time, you could do this, get way up into the inner thigh. You could move around and take your time. You can pause in sore spots and just rest there. And that allows the fascia of the muscles, around the muscles, to just release and lengthen. So you could take as long as you want doing something like this on your own. Okay, so we've got the adductors done. You're going to keep your support under your head and flip onto your back. Next, we're going to work on the gluteus medius. So it's a deeper butt muscle. You've got your glute max on the surface. It's the biggest, broadest muscle. And then your medius. Your medius is what's going to keep you standing upright for tree. It's what helps you walk. It's what helps keep you upright. It's really important stabilizer. So it runs from your sacrum, your bone, your big triangular bone here, all the way out to the side of your femur, the side of your thigh bone. So bring the ball to somewhere inside your sacrum. There's the outer edge of your sacrum. If you don't know exactly where it is, you can just fiddle around until you feel that hard bone in your butt. And there it is. And you can just rock from side to side, pressing the ball into those spaces along your sacrum. Or you can pause and do a little lean into it. it's really about what you feel and how you respond to it, right? How you meet that growing edge. So there's no wrong way to do this. Use your intuition, listen to your body and what you're feeling to guide you to what to do next. You'll know, do I stay here and breathe it through it? Do I move it to another place? You can even bring the ball up a little bit more to the crest, the top of the hip, back of the hip bone. That's called your iliac crest. You can bring it up there and rock into it a little bit. So I think this is a pretty intense release. And so because we're not in person and I can't watch you or hear the groans really that I know are happening, I'm going to invite you to hold the ball and then cross your right knee over your left knee so that you get a little open space in the side of your hip, and then just roll the ball along that outer side of your hip rather than like laying on it, right? That would be a little bit much for today. So just roll the ball along that outer hip. I feel that. Maybe you feel it as well. Just bringing some circulation and waking up the muscle. Good. And then since we're here, go ahead and cross your right ankle over your left knee and come into your figure 4 stretch. So you can reach into that little hole in between your legs, hold onto the back of your left thigh. If this is why the neck support is good. If you don't need it now, you can lay flat. And press the right knee away from you as you draw your legs in toward you, your left leg in toward you, and just stretch that muscle that you just released. Take a few deep breaths. Good. Okay, release, squeeze your knees, rock from side to side. And then we will flip over to the other side and get the other gluteus medius. Or yeah, I guess you can flip. I'm flipping just so I can see you guys, parts of you guys on the screen. So finding the sacrum, and it helps to lift the left leg so you can just lean over to the side. You might cross your left ankle over your right knee a little bit just to keep it out of the way. And just start to play around here. See what you notice. Keep breathing. I had my massage therapy instructor many years ago said, healthy tissue doesn't hurt, which was kind of depressing because every time I foam roll or I do anything, it hurts, right? But the more you do it, the less it hurts because the body starts to get what it needs. It starts to get that circulation back and it releases deep tension. So even if it hurts, it won't always hurt if you stay consistent. And she used to say, or maybe it was my Pilates instructors, you're only as young as your spine is flexible. So those two things have been like a guidepost for me. Keep your spine always moving in every direction it can safely. And do myofascial release, this kind of stuff. Love yourself up. You've got one body, so be good to it. So you've gotten along the edge of the sacrum. Hopefully now you can cross your leg over a little more and get into the outer hip. Maybe you can feel the bone, maybe you can sense it. That is where your gluteus medius and maximus, most of all the glute muscles actually attach right into this space. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck here. Couple more passes over that area. Good, and then we stretch it. So figure 4 stretch on this side, left ankle over the right knee or thigh, and then pull the right leg in toward you. And deepen your breath. Flex your feet. Let's do some ankle rotations. So we're doing a lot of extra floor work today, a lot of extra tissue work, more than usual, just to really acknowledge what goes into a tree pose, what goes into a tree. Good, release and squeeze the knees into your chest and stretch out your lower back. Good, and then we're gonna come on up. So you can roll to your side if you want and press yourself up by rocking horse your way up. So if you're uncomfortable sitting on the floor any longer, you can move to a chair if you want. I'm gonna stay on the floor and we're gonna do a little bit of foot mobility. So if it's available to you to prop your foot up on a block, you can do that, or you can just keep your foot close to you. I find it helpful to prop it up if it's possible. And if you are better in a chair, that's great too. So I want you to take your thumbs or your knuckles, whatever feels good, and just start to massage the inner arch of your foot. Just do some pressure points, get into sore spots, wake up those muscles. These are your roots, the roots of your tree. If you can, whatever pose you need to be in for this, sometimes you can go from the side or sometimes you can go straight on. I want you to try to jostle your long toe bones. So get down into the lower part of the ball of the foot and just shake those bones around. Move them from side to side. Start to stretch your toes. So press one toe up and the toe next to it down. So stretch them gently. The other thing that is challenging for many of us, you might be able to do this, you might have to do it like 2 toes at a time, is just slide your fingers in between your toes. You can try to get all of your toes spread out with your fingers, which is challenging, or you can just do like 2 toes at a time. So you slide your fingers in between the toes and you do a little circle, a little rotation of the ankle. And then just go from one set of toes to the next. Do whatever you can. This is your fertilizer for your roots. Good. All right. And then let that foot go and just do some wiggles with your toes and change sides. Start with the massage or the pressure points. You can do the knuckles or thumbs. And then work on the toes, stretching them forward and back, away from each other. And then sliding the fingers in between the toes if you can. And doing some ankle rotations. Good, and a couple more times, stretching. Whatever you need to do with that foot, you can stretch it, shake it out. Okay, so now we're gonna come up to standing and make sure you have a block with you. And just stand in mountain pose. Feet are face forward for mountain pose. And just feel the connection of your feet, of your roots, to your mat, to the earth. Soft bend in the knees, so not locking the knees out. Just feel your connection. And then just shift your weight from one side to the other. So as you shift to one side, that gluteus medius is working for you. You're going to bring your block between your thighs and squeeze the block with your inner thighs. And adjust your feet if you need to bring them in closer so that your feet aren't out to the edges or the sides. You want the ankles under the knees and under the hips. Squeeze the block. So feel the trunkness of the lower body. This is the lower trunk of your tree. Lift your toes, see if you can spread them out and place them back down and grow roots into your mat, into the floor. Feel your strength, the solidity of the lower body. Good. So we're going to keep that. And then if you're able to bring your hands behind your back and clasp your hands, go ahead and do that. I'll flip to the side here. And then reach the chest up and forward and reach the hands down and take a big breath in. Keep your belly pulled in and bend the knees and start to hinge forward and bring those arms back behind you. If that is too much for your shoulders, you can always hold opposite elbows or forearms. Breathe here. Good, and then press into your roots into the bottom of your feet and rise up with a flat back. Good, release your hands and shoulders. Release your block. So where we'll have our chair now, we'll have our chair here. So I have the seat of the chair available to touch if I need to. So let's come into a warrior two pose. So the left foot is the front foot and the toes are facing out and knee is bent. Watch out for the knee caving in. So you want to keep the knee pressing towards your little toes. This is activating your gluteus medius. That you're going to feel the buns turn on that the left leg. Open up your arms. Breathe. Pull the navel in. Gaze over the left hand. Good. So from here, you might have to step back a little bit away from the chair. We're going to practice Arda Chandrasana, which is our half moon pose. The toes stay as they would with Vira 2 or Warrior 2. And I want you to first square your hips. So you're going to square your hips toward the chair. Pull the belly in and just lean forward and lift the back leg. Remember in our warm-ups how we lifted the leg. Our hips were square and the toes were pointed down toward the floor. So you've got nice active legs here. Now I want you to keep the left leg as it is and keep your left hand on your chair and bring your right hand. This is a challenging pose. You're going to bring your right hand to your right hip and start to open up your hips to the front, to your side. And squeeze your standing leg and flex the foot of your right leg. You might be falling in and out of this. It's okay. Always start over. Always start over where you were. You just don't try to just pop right back into this. Start where the roots of the pose are. Build your foundation up. If you're here, open up that heart even more, and then maybe lift your right arm to the sky. Wherever you are is fine. It's right where you need to be. Just keep breathing. Good. We're going to bring the hand down, square the hips, and then come out of it. That protects the lower back. Come out of it the way you went into it. Shake it out, and we'll practice the other side. Have your chair nearby. First, come into your warrior two, so the right foot and right is forward and the right knee is bent. Back foot is flat on that mat, and then turn your back leg in. Navel's pulled in, open up your arms, breathe. Feel the outer buttocks muscle on that right leg now really turning on. And then we'll come into our Arda Chandrasana. So you can step your back foot forward just enough to get your hips square, and then lift the back leg. Hips, frontal hip bones, just laser, having like a little laser shooting straight down to the floor. Engage your core here. Really pull into your core. Think of the helium in your kidney area, lifting up the lower back. Now, some of you might want to stay here. There's a lot going on here, a lot of activity and a lot of exercise. This is great. If you want a little more challenge, you can start to open the hips. So those toes, now the left toes are facing forward. The hips are open up to the side of your mat. Hands on the hip or lifting. Squeeze the quad, the thigh muscle of the right leg to keep you really strong and stable. Think of growing roots into the ground with your feet. Most importantly, breathe. Start to come out of it. Bring the arm down and then square your hips. Then bend the leg. And then release all the way down. Let it all go. You can use your chair if that's better for you, if the ground is out of your reach. Let your head go, so feel some traction in the neck as you let your head go. Good. We're going to look up first and then start to rise up with a flat back. Reach your arms out and up. And hands to your heart. Good. Come into goddess squat. So legs are wide, knees are bent, toes are facing away. Just a gentle squat here. We're going to do our 3 thumps. So tapping right into your collarbones, tapping vigorously. We're going to regulate and support our immune system here. So breathing in. Good. Now, center of the chest, you can tap or knock with your knuckles. Take a big breath in and let out an ah. Ah. Let's try that with a smile. Ah. Good. And now knock on your ribs. Tap and knock on the side of your ribs. Get all of those acupressure points to support the immune system, and then shake it out. So you're in your squat still. You can keep it really low, or you can make it a little one. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale. Get as much air as you can. You're breathing in what the trees give us, and you're giving back what the trees need. Need more. Last one. Good. Walk your feet back into your body. Feel the oxygenation of your cells. We're going to come right into our tree pose. So let's stand on the left leg to start. Squeeze the leg. Just squeeze it. Lift your toes and then place them back down without gripping the mat. Just feel rooted through the balls of your feet. and then pick a place that that right foot is going to be. You can keep it at the ankle for more stability. You could do calf, or you could do inner thigh. Wherever you choose, I want you to press your foot into your leg and your leg into your foot. Press, 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 and feel that you get a little taller as you do that. Pull the belly in. Hips are square. And then find out what you want to do with your branches. So do you want to keep them close? It's more challenging. Do you want to bring them out or up? Let yourself blow in the wind. Maybe clasping the hands and reaching them up overhead. Maybe you're a big, tall redwood. Or maybe you're a big, powerful oak. Breathe. This tree pose is your growing edge to balance and stability. That left gluteus medius is working really hard for you right now to keep you upright. Those inner thighs are working. One more breath. And then I want you to slowly, slowly come out of it. Mindfully. Good. Shake out your standing leg. And then set up for the second side. Building it slowly. Trying to place the foot on this side in the same place that it was placed on the other side. Gazing at something that isn't moving is very helpful for balance. It's called your drishti. Find your breath. Feel your rootedness and strength. You're going to slowly, slowly come out of this, mindfully releasing. Good. Shoulder circles. And then come on down to the floor. We'll take a lying down twist. So onto your back. Your chair, you might want to have your chair for Shavasana. It's really nice to put your legs on at the end so you can keep it nearby if you like. We're going to hug the knees into the chest. And as you're ready, bring them over to your left side. Sometimes it's nice to shift those hips over to the right before you bring your knees to the left. It makes the twist a little less intense. Open your arms and gaze over your left or your right arm. Pull your belly in and then start to lift the top leg and then the bottom leg. Maybe shifting the hips over to the left. And then bring the knees over to your right and gaze over your left arm and shoulder and breathe. Bring your knees back up to center. And with your knees bent back flat on the floor, take a moment to breathe and check in with your body. Does it need anything else before you lie down in Shavasana for resting pose? Do you need anything else? Not what your mind says you need, but what your body says you need. Take the next 2 minutes to give yourself what you need. If that means a little longer Shavasana, great. Set yourself up for that. When you hear the sound of the bell, that will be your official invitation to come to stillness. begin to find stillness in your body. With every exhale, release any muscles that might still be active. Letting the jaw go, letting the weight of the head go. Allow your hips to soften and release. Your arms and your legs letting go. Finding deep rest in the body. This is the fertile ground. This deep rest is the fertile ground from which you grow, you sprout. We are love, by an unending love. 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 We are love, love, love. We are love, love, love. We are love, love, love. By an unending love. Love and mercy. Loving kindness and peace. Ahava, verachami, chesed, veshalom, veshalom. Neshamah. Rav Kook writes, I live life in growing orbits, which move out over the things of the world. Perhaps I will never achieve the last, but that will be my attempt. I am circling around God, around the ancient tower, and I have been circling for 1,000 years, and I still don't know if I am a falcon or a storm or a great song. Every part of the vegetable world is singing a song and bringing forth a secret of the divine mystery of the creation. Take a few deep breaths. Let your senses awaken before you roll to your side and rise up. Let your hands rest at your heart, feeling the strength of in the rootedness of your body as you rise up and meet life. Life that is happening not to us, but for us. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be loved. May all beings be free. May all beings have peace. May it be so. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Shalom.